making a pole trellis out of items you probably already have in your house. That and a whole lot more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
This program was funded by the following.
At dollarseed.com, all of our seeds are only $1 a pack. And we have online resources that teach you all about the rewarding hobby of growing your own plants, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Imagine the joy you'll feel when your children actually help you harvest your first garden crop, or the pride of knowing you'll never need a florist again. Visit dollarseed.com and grow a little magic of your own for just $1. Dollarseed.com. What could be healthier?
Willow Springs Soap Company is a locally owned Colorado business just a stone's throw away from the Rocky Mountains. Their handmade soap is made from simple, recognizable ingredients, which lead to a more natural, earth-friendly, long-lasting, and hard bar with a wonderful creamy lather. They make soap using the cold kettle process with a specially formulated recipe of 100% vegetable oils. They use traditional methods that produce a true soap instead of the commercial synthetic alternatives that can dry out skin. Go to www.willowspringssoap.com to get a fresh and natural clean, handmade in the Rockies.
No matter where you live, you can compost year-round with the Worm Factory 360. It requires very little maintenance. As of 2010, the Worm Factory 360 is the only self-sorting worm composter made in the USA. Made with high-quality food-grade recyclable plastic with a 20-year limited warranty. For more information on how to purchase your own Worm Factory 360, visit www.lvworms.com.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener supports the following. Hunger Task Force believes that every person has the right to adequate food obtained with dignity. They're providing food for people in need. With their 151-acre working farm and fish hatchery in Franklin, Wisconsin, volunteers are needed daily. You could plant seeds in the greenhouse, ride the transplanter, or you can make an instant $10 donation from your mobile device by texting food to 52,000. For more information on how you can help end hunger, visit hungertaskforce.org.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. This show is dedicated to the average gardener, simple home living, and using what you already have. Well, whether you live in the city or live in the country, a trellis can maximize your growing space because you can pack a lot of stuff in a little area and it's going to grow vertical. Now these are two pole trellises that we've made in years past, and we're going to make another one. Very simple construction, and probably most of the items you have already in your house. First, we're going to start off with the main structure, which is the pole. We're using a 2-inch PVC plastic pipe. Now you can use a 1-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, whatever you have. Now if you don't have a PVC pipe, don't worry about it. You could use a 2x4 split in half, which would be a 1x1, or a 2x4 with a spike on the bottom. But we find a PVC pipe works best, and I'll explain that to you why later. So we want to take our PVC pipe and we want to figure out where we're going to put our support rod to hold our bottom brace on. Now the bottom brace we're going to use is the ring off an old Christmas wreath. Now it may be too late in the year and you've already thrown yours out. You can use other items. This here, we've got a ring. I'm not sure what it was off of. I dug it out of the garbage because I knew what I wanted to use it for. So I got that. Over here is the frame off of a folding chair, one that just has a pad and not the solid piece of metal. That works well also. Or you can even go with an old picture frame, or you can construct a ring out of some old tomato cages you've got broken laying in the garage, barn, shed, basement. So we want to figure out the distance from where the pipe will be, where the top of the soil will be, to where the pipe you're going to put it in, and to where the brace is. So you're going to insert the pipe. I like to put it in the ground about 8 inches. So I want another 8 to 9 inches of height between the ground and the bottom brace here. So we'll mark that with a tape measure and a marker so we know where to drill our hole for our support. So that's where it's going to be in the soil. We'll go up another, we'll go 8 there. So right there is where we're going to be for our support. Now what are we going to use for our support brace? This old folding chair that I dug out of the garbage. These have very nice round pieces of pipe that'll work well to feed through the Christmas ring for the support. So let me get that all set up and we'll get that started. So we got the hole drilled in our PVC pipe, and it really determines the diameter of the hole of what kind of rod or dowel rod you're going to put through there. And then we cut our pipe that came off of a lawn chair, and now we've got our ring. So what I wanted to do is I want to center or find the center of this, which is about 12.5, just to try to get that in the center of the pipe so it's more of a balanced look on the trellis. Now to hold the ring to the bar, I'm going to use just regular zip ties. I'm going to put about 2 on each side, and then we'll get the top portion put together, and I'll show you what that lampshade's all about in just one moment. Now that lampshade, the reason I have it is because we need the top portion for attaching for the top of our trellis here. Now as you can see, I've cut notches there to where that will sit down in that PVC pipe, just like I have over here on the one we're constructing. I took a drill and drilled a little hole just below the top of it, and then I took the saw and notched it out. So don't do this with any lampshade that you're going to keep, but this was great for lampshades you find along the side of the road, or sometimes they've dried out and broke inside, so this will work well. So I'm just going to cut this portion off, and we're going to attach it to the top, and we'll start running our strings to get our trellis constructed. So now that you got your ring cut from your lampshade, you can recycle this other ring and then you can just throw that in the garbage. Now you can clean all this off or you can leave it on, it really doesn't matter, it's kind of difficult because it's glued. So we're just going to set this on top, and now with the strings, how many strings do you want to put around it? Well, it really depends on what you're going to use this trellis for. Now these trellises were used for pole beans. Now you can put them as far apart or as tight as you want. Just remember, when the pole bean or cucumber or whatever you're growing on this is going to flourish out and put foliage on, it's going to close off a lot of areas. So you want enough area to where the air will circulate through, and so the fruit or the vegetable will ripen. So you're just going to use, we're going to use jute rope. That's what we use there. If you have access to baling twine, that's fine too. You want to use you don't want to use the treated baling twine. You want to use just the all-natural twine if you're going to go that route. So I'll start at the top here, and we're going to put probably a dozen or so, if not more. It's really based on what you see needs to be done, and you want to keep everything fairly tight. And the first couple ones are difficult because you're trying to figure out how much tension you want, and these strings will stretch over time. So let me get a couple on here and we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish up the pole trellis. So now that we've got it all strung, got I think 15, 16 strings here, you want it fairly taut, but they will stretch, and it always helps if you have a helping hand to hold this down, otherwise it's going to flop around. Now the reason why we only attached it one way, now if you could attach it and do a cross here, but there's a trick to reason why I did it this way. So in transit or in storage, you can fold it up and it will store quite nicely once you pull it out of the soil, and it will fold quite nicely in wherever you're going to store it, and then come next year you can just put it all back together and put it back in the ground. So it's a simple, easy, effective way to make a trellis to maximize your growing space instead of having to purchase one at the store.
One of the benefits of canning your own pumpkin is you can make pumpkin recipes year-round and not have to worry about trying to find the canned pumpkin in the store. So today we're going to make mini pumpkin pies. Most people make their pumpkin pie in this typical 9-inch baking pie dish. We're going to make them out of these 4-inch tinfoil pies here. Kind of, it's portion controlled. If you want to do a bunch of them for like a party, and then people maybe want to share them so they can share different desserts, is always a fun idea. So some people will use a regular pie crust. and you can use like a graham cracker pie crust if you want for these. That's kind of fun, something different. We're gonna take these tea biscuits that I picked up at my local grocery store, and we're gonna make our pie crust with those. So I'm just gonna get them in the food processor here, and I'm actually gonna use the food processor for making the pumpkin pie as well. So I just start with about 3/4 of the container because these are smaller little shells. So let's go here. Now, a lot of people will add butter to their pie crust, but since this is a pretty liquidy batter that we're adding in, I'm not going to do that because the pie crust will just stick to the pumpkin just fine. So I don't feel that's necessary for this particular pie. So I just basically take the pie crust, and this makes 4. This recipe makes 4. You could do it in muffin tins also, and that makes 12 regular size muffin tins. So, oh, I think that's 5. Alright, so then you just kind of, oh actually, you know what? I almost forgot. You want to take your non-stick cooking spray. You can use butter to grease the little pans, or margarine or whatever. I just use this because it's just a quick little shot. So now I've got my pans greased, so I'm just going to take and divide this among all the little pans. You kind of have to eyeball it. If you use too much, you reserve some of your tea biscuits there, so you can always just zip them real quick up in here, and then you'll be good to go. And if you don't like the crust to pumpkin pies, you don't have to add it if you don't want to. So I'll put that back on there because I'm gonna mix up my pumpkin and put my blade on there real quick. And then you can just take a spoon and kind of pat it in there. You can pat it up the sides a little bit. When you put that batter in there, it's going to help displace it also. Alright, so I got all of those done. So now I'm going to make the pie filling. And it's pretty simple. What you want to do is you want to get your eggs. You take 2 eggs. Then you put 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Then you add a can of evaporated milk, a 12-ounce can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and zip that up real quick, and I'll add the pumpkin and other spices. So I got that added. Then I want to add my pumpkin. You're going to need, if you use just regular canned pumpkin from the store, it's going to be 15-ounce can. Otherwise, if it's pumpkin that you can yourself, it's about 2 cups, which is about 15 ounces. And then, so we added the pumpkin. Then you need the spices, vanilla. I just use a capful. I figure that's about a teaspoon or so. And then cinnamon, you want to use about a teaspoon. And then pumpkin spice. If you don't have pumpkin spice, you can use cloves and nutmeg and ginger. But I love pumpkin spice. I've put my coffee and many other pumpkin recipes, so I always make sure to keep it on hand. Okay, so we got that in there. And then we're going to mix it all up. Now, you really don't have to mix this in a food processor if you don't have one, or even any other kind of mixer. It mixes really well by hand. As you can see, it's really liquidy. But since I was dirtying my food processor anyway, I figured why not. So we're gonna see how this turns out here. Go ahead and do the first one. Now you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 425. A little bit of a mess there, but that's okay. And actually, looks like we got a little bit extra, so I'm going to take another tin foil and just get it ready without the crust. So it looks like we ended up with 6. This is actually my first time making this mini pumpkin pie recipe, so I didn't really actually know what to expect. Looks like the people who made the recipe maybe overestimated or underestimated. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven at 425 for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, then you want to reduce it down to 350. Do that for about a half an hour. You insert a knife into the middle, and when it comes out clean after about a half an hour, 35 minutes, then you know they're done, and you can go ahead and serve them with ice cream or whipped topping, whatever you like, or just as they are. And it's nice little individual pumpkin pies for you and your friends, family, or just yourself. And here they are, fresh out of the oven. Remember, we cooked them at 425 for 15 minutes, and then we'll reduce that down to 350 for 30 minutes, and they came out with the knife clean, and as you can see, they're not sticking to the sides of the pan there. So you can go ahead and serve them with your favorite topping once they cool down, and have a delicious treat.
Whether you have a large ground garden or a small patio, you can create a planting space with multiple locations with simply a milk crate. Now, you have to be specific on what type of milk crate you find. Some of them have very large holes. Some of them, this is an older style, so it has very small holes. But I'll show you how you can make a planter box out of this that you can plant a variety of vegetables. All you'll need is a few items. You may have some of these plastic trays laying around, or you find them. Well, this works great if you have one that's broke or damaged. So here's what you need to do. We've got ours cut here already. What you want to do is take and cut it to the diameter or the length of your crate. And you want to cut this lip off of it here so it fits nicely. Take one side and cut it so it lays flat. So all you want to do is you're going to put it inside the crate, and then you're going to lower that one flap down. Now, if you want to, you can take the other portion, bend that down a little bit, just like that. Now you can take your other portion and lay on top of that if you want. You want one of these that have drain holes that are naturally put in it from the factory. We found these. Somebody had drilled holes in one that didn't have, so you can drill holes as well. So now what you want to do, here's the key point. You want to get some wet organic potting soil. Now if your potting soil is not wet, you want to take and water it down so you have kind of a consistency that will stick together, because you're going to pour it in here, and if it's too dry, it'll just run out the holes. So we're going to put that in here now. And you are going to lose some through the holes, but that's okay. All right. That's one. And you can see here as that it's moist, and I'm just going to pack it down to kind of get a little more structure into it. And you can see some of it's falling out the holes, and that's just what's going to happen. All right. Put the rest of it in here. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill it up to the level of the handles here. And this will give us the opportunity to plant stuff in the top and the bottom, or in the top and the sides. But the handles will allow you to carry it. It's probably 40 pounds maybe. And this is extremely wet too, so you want to add for that the weight of the water. So, as you can see, now each one of these little holes you could plant something in, whether it be herbs or beans or lettuce. And then in the top you could put some small tomato plants or leeks or herbs. So it's something you could set outside on your patio, on a bench or wherever you have a spot for it. Plant it, and these plants will grow out, and then they'll naturally turn upwards and grow towards the sky. And to water it, you just simply take a mister hose and water the sides down. You don't want to put too much water in because it'll flush the soil out. So a simple way to add a lot more space to your growing area by just using a milk crate.
As we approach the gardening season, one of the important things is to think about how you're going to preserve or use the food that you grow. We can, and obviously we've talked about canning, so here's some of the items you may want to kind of stockpile up on depending on what you're going to need. But vinegar, that's very important in pickling and preserving food. So if you see a good sale on vinegar or find a coupon or something, you know, go ahead, pick it up. It has a good shelf life on it, so it's something you're definitely going to need. Your lemon juice, that's used in a lot of different canning recipes as well, so that's something to look into. And honestly, if it's a store brand or, you know, the nationwide brand, it doesn't really make a difference. So just think about, you know, for what you need. Sugar, all-purpose regular ground canned sugar, white sugar is used a lot. Pickling salt, you want to use that. We use it because I guess it helps, it dissolves faster and better in canning. Pectin, you're going to use that in jams and jellies, and you can find almost all these items, I would say, at a local grocery store or where you pick up your canning supplies. So pectin is fairly easy to find. If you don't know where it is, just ask your grocery manager. One of the items that we use sometimes if we just want to pickle, make some pickles in a real quick, process, is this pickle mix. It's tasty, and like I said, it's for, make it real fast. Some of the fresher ingredients you might use are lemon, limes, garlic, cinnamon. So that's something that you might want to also keep an eye on sales, especially if you can maybe keep it in a fridge, keep your garlic fresh, or even grow your own. And then other ones that we have here are, whole spices or dried spices. Peppercorns are used a lot. Whole cloves, allspice. Here's a pickling spice mix that you can use that's got a whole bunch of spices mixed together. Then we have dill seed. We'll pick that up at the store, and we also grow our own, so that's something to keep on hand. Dill weed and mustard seed. And then some of the recipes will also call for vanilla. So as you can see, it's some of the stuff that you may already have on hand, or maybe you see on sale when you're walking through the aisles of the grocery store. So if you see a good deal, pick it up, keep it on hand, because when you're ready to get all those ingredients together, you'll have them ready. And a big thing I can stress is you want to go ahead, read the recipe before you start if it's recipes that you've never used before, so you've got everything you need. And also think about buying maybe some of those spices you're going to use a lot in bulk, because you can put them in airtight containers and freeze them, and you usually get a better deal that way. So here's what you'll need for getting your canning started.
Thanks for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. And as you can see, making a pole trellis is a simple, easy project you can do, and it doesn't cost a lot of money either. Now I know there's many different types of trellises you can create in your garden, and we want to hear about it. If you've got an interesting creative trellis, email it to us or post it on our Facebook page. Both of those addresses can be found at the end of the show. And that personalized pumpkin pie, not a slice, but you get a whole mini pumpkin pie for dessert. For all of us here at the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, I'm Joey Baird, encouraging you, take a child gardening and start growing some memories.
This program was funded by the following.
At dollarseed.com, all of our seeds are only $1 a pack. And we have online resources that teach you all about the rewarding hobby of growing your own plants, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Imagine the joy you'll feel when your children actually help you harvest your first garden crop, or the pride of knowing you'll never need a florist again. Visit dollarseed.com and grow a little magic of your own for just $1. Dollarseed.com. What could be healthier?
Willow Spring Soap Company is a locally owned Colorado business just a stone's throw away from the Rocky Mountains. Their handmade soap is made from simple, recognizable ingredients, which lead to a more natural, earth-friendly, long-lasting, and hard bar with a wonderful creamy lather. They make soap using the cold kettle process with a specially formulated recipe of 100% vegetable oils. They use traditional methods that produce a true soap instead of the commercial synthetic alternatives that can dry out skin. Go to www.willowspringsoap.com to get a fresh and natural clean, handmade in the Rockies.
No matter where you live, you can compost year-round with the Worm Factory 360. It requires very little maintenance. As of 2010, the Worm Factory 360 is the only self-sorting worm composter made in the USA. Made with high-quality food-grade recyclable plastic with a 20-year limited warranty. For more information on how to purchase your own Worm Factory 360, visit www.lvworms.com.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener supports the following. Hunger Task Force believes that every person has the right to adequate food obtained with dignity. They're providing food for people in need. With their 151-acre working farm and fish hatchery in Franklin, Wisconsin, volunteers are needed daily. You could plant seeds in the greenhouse, ride the transplanter, or you can make an instant $10 donation from your mobile device by texting food to 52,000. For more information on how you can help end hunger, visit hungertaskforce.org. The show never ends on our Facebook page. Keyword Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners. Like the page and continue the discussion there. You can now follow us on Twitter, see what we're up to and what we're doing at the garden. The address, the W-I Veg Gardener, Gardenr. You can email us at thewiveggardener@gmail.com with your questions, comments, or suggestions about the show.